What's up, A to Z Sports live on a Thursday. We are, Sam, 1 week away from the NFL draft. How about that? We're about to make it. We haven't made it yet.
Come on.
We're getting closer and closer and closer, finally. 1 week from today will be draft day. We're not talking about the movie. We're talking about the Titans actually on the clock.
But us being a week away from draft day means it's 1 week away from the obligatory draft day watch that I do and everybody else should do once a year.
I do not do that. I've watched Draft Day, the movie, once, and it was on my flight to my honeymoon. So that's a different, Anyway, but anyway, so
that's a good plane movie. I think.
Yes, a good plane movie, which is what I did. So, but we are 1 week away from the NFL draft. The Titans are on the clock at number 1 overall. We know that's going to be Cam Ward. The 35th overall pick is going to be really where the Titans draft starts. And that is what we're going to be here to talk about, of the best case first round outcomes for the Titans to maximize their trade back value in the second round. I think we've had conversations about players the Titans could take it in the second round, but we all know the Titans want more picks. They don't have a third round pick. Easton did a mock draft where he traded away Will Levis and gained a third round pick. We talked through that yesterday. Now, there's another way to gain a third round pick, and that's trading back in the second round. So what needs to happen in the first round for the Titans to have the best value for their 35th overall pick? I've got my answer. Sam, you've got yours locked in. We'll ask you guys about yours as well, and then we'll find out what we should be crossing our fingers for as we're watching the draft, like picks 25 through 32, to set the Titans up for the best second round possibility. So we got trivia. Yesterday's trivia was awful. It was bad. It was just like not in either of Easton or I's alley. We missed 2 questions. We even forgot to do the double dip. It was
when was the last time that we've missed 2 questions on trivia?
I don't know. It was not good. It was not good. So take 2. That's why we do trivia on Wednesday and Thursday. We get a second shot at it. So Sam, welcome in. Let's get this thing going.
All right, let's do it here. Before we jump into everything, talking Titans draft scenarios and the round 1 dream scenario, make sure you are sharing the show this morning. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the share button in the bottom right corner. If you're watching on YouTube, take that YouTube link as well. Get that word out there that A to Z Sports is live, that we're talking Titans draft. I've said it once, twice, I don't know how many times, but I'll say it again. If you want to be the most educated person in your friend group for this NFL draft, you got to stay locked in here on A to Z Sports with all of our Titans pre-draft coverage and post-draft coverage when the time comes. So know your stuff, watch the shows, spread the word, leave a like on the show as well this morning, hit that thumbs up button, and leave us a 5-star Google review. Maybe subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're over there on YouTube. Do all the things. Help us out here before we kick it off on a Thursday morning.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports here live on a Thursday. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, one of our Titans reporters for A to Z Sports.com. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process by seeing them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And our friends at Bartram Injury Law. Crash can change your life forever, but help is just a click away at bartdurham.com. So I feel like we've talked a lot about trades for this draft early in the draft season, right? Because it was all about trading back from number 1. The Titans settled on not doing that because they said Cam Ward's our guy. They're going to draft Cam Ward number 1 overall. Now we've talked a lot about the second round trade back scenarios, so that's going to be the focus today. But yesterday, Easton traded away Will Levis and a 5th round pick to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this example for the 84th overall pick. So he views Will Levis as a 5th round pick value. So that's basically 2 5th rounders for a 3rd rounder is what Easton did there. But before we get to trading back in the second round, Sam, you've talked about another trade with a Titans player this week that has caused some stirs on Primetime a couple nights ago and also on social media with your article. So take us through your thought process on the trade potential of Jeffrey Simmons.
Well, yeah, I'm curious to get your sort of thoughts on this, because this was an idea that I pieced together while Easton and I were stewing and talking on the morning show earlier this week, and we were sort of going over and trying to figure out what we make of probably the most puzzling pre-draft thing for the Titans thus far, which is the number of top 30 visits they have hosted with defensive tackles, with interior defensive linemen, with 5 of them on the docket. Cam Jackson, Omar Norman-Lott, Darius Alexander, TJ Sanders, Vernon Broughton. 1, 2, you were like, okay, maybe they're, intrigued by this one player. 5 feels like a trend. 5 feels very intentional. And top 30 visits are not nothing. So the Titans, to me, at least have some sort of a baseline of interest in drafting one of these defensive tackles. And when you look at the roster, there's really nowhere for a defensive tackle to go. Jeff Simmons, Tavondre Sweat, Keandre Coburn, they re-signed Sebastian Joseph Day. Draymond Jones is an edge, but has the ability to flex inside if you need him to. The Titans have all of their snaps on the interior of the defensive line accounted for. And so it really got me thinking, like, if you don't need one of these players right now, and you're actually doing due diligence at looking into these players ahead of the draft, what could you possibly be preparing for if you were the Titans? Yeah. And I started to think it wasn't impossible that the Titans hosting 5 of these pre-draft visits is preparation for them to potentially pull the trigger on a trade for Jeffrey Simmons. We have talked about Mike Borgonzi wanting to accrue extra draft picks, especially in the top 100. Another one of those surefire ways to get a top 100 pick would be moving Simmons in this year's draft. We've talked about how they want to get younger and cheaper. This would do both of those things as well. And for Simmons, like, he's going to be 28 this summer. You're on the front end of a multi-year rebuild. There's a lot of reasons that he could want out. Not saying that he does want out, but there's a lot of reasons why a trade to a contender could be attractive for him. And so this, I think, is more likely than a lot of people maybe realize. And I wanted to put it on the radar of Titans fans before we get to the draft, because it's a possibility that this pops up on draft night. And I don't want people to be blindsided by that idea. Let's talk about the reasons for it before it potentially becomes reality.
Because I agree, because the way you phrased the article is like, you should not be surprised if it happens, right? Because the Titans are doing some background checks work to make sure that if it approaches, then they're prepared for it, like you kind of mentioned there. So why I think this is intriguing, because I think the Titans should be willing to trade Jeff Simmons if the right compensation comes calling. And I think you did this on primetime, the whole Myles Garrett conversation. Like, the Browns are paying Myles Garrett $40 million a year for what? To continue to suck, to continue to have maybe the worst quarterback situation in the entire NFL, and you're stuck behind that quarterback contract for the next couple of years. So you're just going to pay Myles Garrett $80 million of cap space or cash, really, over those 2 years of suck. And then he's going to be, 31, 32, and then what? And then you're not, so I think that the Browns were unwilling to accelerate the rebuild process by trading away their Hall of Fame Myles Garrett right now because of pride. I think the Titans should be open to trading away, he's not their Hall of Fame, but their blue chip, their number one trade asset guy in Jeffrey Simmons, because that would accelerate the rebuild. Because if the Titans are paying Jeffrey Simmons $25 million a year over the next 3 years for what? Then, or you can get all this draft capital and reset your salary cap, reset the position, and then, by the time Cam Ward's ready to compete in year 2, year 3, Jeff is now 29, 30. And is he still the same player? So I think they should be willing to do this. I think that the why this would be easier for the Titans than the Browns is because the Titans have brand new front office structure and brand new front office leadership, and none of the guys who were around that selected Jeffrey Simmons, that had paid Jeffrey Simmons, are still there. So Rand Carthon paid him, John Robinson drafted him, Mike Vrabel was a part of that too. And so there's not the personal connection. It's straight business. Yeah. And so I think straight business is easier to do like that. And so I think there's opportunity to explore that So, we'll keep our eye on Jeff Simmons trade talk as it materializes. So, anything to add on that?
Well, no, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? Like that is the idea behind the thought process for me is, you can acknowledge that Jeffrey Simmons is great. You can acknowledge that he's incredibly valuable to your defense. You cannot particularly want to be without him, and also acknowledge that maybe the best thing for the organization long term, if you're trying to get aligned and sort of streamlined, is to move him right now. And both of those things can exist. And I think that those are possibly conversations going on within the organization right now.
Yeah, and people talk about the Texans. Hey, the Texans went from the second worst team in the NFL to win the division and went with a rookie quarterback. How'd they do it? Well, they got a lot of draft picks because the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Cheat code, right? Cheat code on that one. So, okay, let's dive into the second round pick. So we're going to ask you guys this question. Sam and I have our answers, but we want to get you guys involved here too. What do the Titans need to have happen in the first round of the draft to maximize the second round trade back? What do the Titans need to have happen in the first round of the draft to maximize that 35th overall pick? Not of who they would want to select there. So let's just not say, oh, Emeka Egbuka drops 35 and you can just scoop him up and draft him there, because I think we would all sign up for that. But if you were viewing 35 overall as a way to trade back to get more capital, what needs to have happen in the first round to maximize that trade value? So we'll get to your answers, Sam and I's answers here in a moment. But do want to tell you guys about Bart Durham Injury Law. A crash can change your life forever, but help is just a click away at bartdurham.com. The Bart Durham Injury Law team is phenomenal. They've been in business in Nashville for 50 years. Bart Durham, a Nashville legend, passed away just over a year ago, and his son Blair Durham is doing a great job of continuing the family name, the family brand, and the family standard of fighting for you and getting you the money that you deserve, because you do deserve to be paid for what you go through with any type of car accident. So your big truck wreck is Bart Durham Injury Law's fight for justice. You can reach the Bart Durham Injury Law team 24/7 to get your legal questions answered. The best way, the easiest way, is the phone number, 615-242-9000. It's super easy too. 615-242-9000 to check out the Bart Durham Injury Law team for your moment in need. They're located in Capitol View, Nashville, and are local, but can fight for anyone across the state of Tennessee and also in Kentucky. Blair is a Marine vet, is doing a lot of good stuff in the community, including the rally on the runway for children's cancer last week as well. So check them out online, bartdurham.com.
Leave a like on the show as well this morning. We're looking at those like numbers over on our screen here. We want to see those like numbers rising. So if you're enjoying the show, if you're liking the content, if you just support A to Z Sports and are with us every morning, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button and leave a like on the show before we keep going with all of our pre-draft coverage.
That's right. All right, Sam. So what do the Titans need to have happen to maximize in the first round, to maximize the trade back value of the 35th overall pick? I will have you head to the chat, see what people are saying on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch before you and I share our answers on this one.
Bork says only 2 QBs go in the first round, so you get that third QB to the top of the second. Now, to be fair, a third QB at the top of the second doesn't necessarily mean the third QB makes it all the way to 35. That's the other trick here, is that you're not the first pick of the second round. Austin says QBs fall as well. Have QBs fall in the second. An offensive tackle or a QB falls. Chris just says any of those top 20 players need to slide to day 2. Multiple QBs are drafted in offensive line in first round. Not sure. What does this mean from Steve? I'm not sure.
Just as many quarterbacks and linemen in the first round as possible, maybe?
Daniel thinks Ward should be the only QB to go in the first, that would help the Titans out. I agree it would, but obviously I don't think it's realistic to expect Shedeur Sanders to fall out of the first round. He's going to go somewhere in the top 10 range. Jackson Dart has to fall. Travis Hunter plummeting to round 2, and someone is interested in him. Again, I'm going to go ahead and say right now that's not going to happen for Steven there. Wide receivers need to fall to the second round. So obviously, I think QBs and wide receivers dropping. Austin, I think the chat is on it here, right? Which is, what position group essentially needs to drop out of the first round for the Titans to have maximized value. I get where do you think?
I'm going quarterback. I'm going quarterback storyline on this, but I'm getting specific with it because obviously I have the microphone and you guys just have text in the chat. So it's harder for you to get as specific as I can. So I'm going to say the Titans' best case scenario to trade back at 35 to maximize that value is having 3 quarterbacks go in the first round. So Cam Ward's 1, right? Shedeur Sanders is likely to be the second. And then I don't care who the third is. It could be Jackson Dart, who's going to be at the draft in Green Bay. It could be Jalen Milroe, who's going to be at the draft in Green Bay. It could be Tyler Shuck. I think those are the 5 quarterbacks, in addition to Cam Ward, that have the highest momentum or sniffing around them. I read a link today from Tom Pelissero at NFL.com, 5 potential surprise first-round quarterbacks. On the list, Tyler Shuck, Louisville quarterback, surprise first-rounder, and the other 2 guys are at the draft in Green Bay. So why do I think 3 specifically quarterbacks to go in the first round would maximize that value for the Titans? It's because of the Titans having the 3rd pick in the second round and the teams above the Titans in the second round. And those 2 teams will be passing on quarterbacks in the first round in all likeliness, right? The Browns had the 1st pick in the second round. The Giants had the 2nd pick in the second round. Then the Titans. Those guys are going to go Hunter, Carter, whichever order, 2 and 3. So what happens if Cam Ward goes 1, Shedeur Sanders goes wherever, and then quarterback of your preference goes somewhere in the first round? Now you've got 2 of the 3 available, Dart, Milroe, Shuck, at the top of the 3rd round. Either the Browns and Giants just go boom, boom, scoop them up. Then the Titans have the best remaining player that fell on the board to either draft themselves or say, we had the highest, somebody else come up and get the best non-quarterback available on the board. And then maybe the Browns and Giants don't just go boom, boom, scoop up the 2 quarterbacks right there. Maybe one of those 2 teams takes a quarterback, and now you've got the last quarterback remaining at 35 on the board, to where the supply is as low as it can be, with the demand being as high as it can be. And one team's like, we got to go up and get this guy now, or we're not going to take a quarterback until Saturday, right? So I think that is my very specific best case scenario to maximize 35 overall. 3 quarterbacks go in the first round, to where either the Titans have 1 quarterback left on the board at 35, or the best non-quarterback left on the board at 35 for somebody to jump up in a big, heavy demand for little supply. How do you feel about that? Before you get to yours, thoughts on mine?
Well, I think it's creative. I like it. I think my follow-up question, which I was thinking before we even really jumped into the show today about this, it just is an interesting thought experiment. If you, Austin, right now were making a choice for the Titans, would you rather, and I guess quarterback is not, it doesn't work as well at quarterback, but if you were looking at a different position, do you think the Titans, what's better for them? A lot of really talented players fall. Okay, so actually, quarterback works just fine. Sorry, I'm talking myself out of.
There's so many different directions you can go. Yeah,
better for the Titans. A lot of quarterbacks go in the first round, therefore pushing good players down the board to them at 35, or quarterbacks staying on the board so that the Titans have more trade incentive at 35.
I asked myself the same question, which is why I landed right in the middle. Having 3 in the first round go and then having the 2 fall. Because I feel like if you're going to, okay, so let's think it through it of team specific, because this is where it gets really detailed. Of if 3 quarterbacks go in the first round, what teams are drafting the quarterbacks. Titans are one, right? Okay.
Sure.
Titans are one. So what are the other two teams most likely to draft the quarterback in the first round? I think Saints at 9.
New Orleans probably.
And then you've got like the Steelers at 21.
Yeah. But I think that's pretty realistic.
Right. So if the Titans, Saints, and Steelers all take quarterbacks in the first round,
could someone could trade into the back end of the first round too
totally.
to get
who would that
to
be?
get the fifth-year option. I mean, the Giants.
Would that be Giants or Browns, right?
Yeah, I mean, somebody could trade into the back end of the first just to get that fifth year on the quarterback they want.
Totally, which I think is super valuable, right? The Titans tried to do that with Will Levis and could not. And then Ryan brings up another team that I was going to say. This is the LA Rams.
Yeah. I think, yeah, they're in the mix. I mean, who else is picking down there that would be in the mix?
That's kind of it. Like, I don't think the Jets would do something like that.
No.
The Jets take somebody at 7 and then trade back into the first round.
Pittsburgh, the Rams late, though. 2 teams in the top 10 probably. And maybe a trade in. That's the path for 4 QBs to go, at least. The Raiders, the chat is saying a lot of the Raiders as well.
But then if you're the Titans, who is coming up at 35 though, right? Because you can't
in that scenario, nobody's coming up, right? Like it's not necessarily for maximum trade value. I'm just curious. Would you rather have the trade incentive of having a quarterback on the board when you're coming up to pick, or would you rather have the better board available to you to pick a player and stick and pick at 35 if a lot of QBs go? Because I mean, Easton and I were talking about this earlier in the week. We think it's going to be tight, like a really close call for the Titans to get a really talented player at 35. It could go 1 or 2 picks from them getting a guy that Titans fans are going to love and coming up just short of that big talent. And so with it being that tight, with an idea of maybe 40 guys who you think could maybe go in the first round, the more of those guys that you let get today too, the better chance you have of the Titans hitting a home run and having one of those dudes that's not supposed to be there sitting there.
Yeah, the Titans have had a couple scenarios in recent drafts where they have found a first round talent, air quote, guy, dropped them in the second round. Those two are Harold Landry and Christian Fulton. Now, Landry worked out, Fulton did not, but still, like, that was a situation of mocks. The Titans had mocked Harold Landry and Christian Fulton in first round picks both those years, and then they got him in the second round. AJ Brown kind of could be one if you want to in 2019 as well, but then they got in the second. So I think it's tough because you don't have a third. And so my thought is you have to have a slam dunk selection at 35 to not try to trade back to gain more shots. And there could absolutely be multiple slam dunks at 35.
I mean, that's been my take on it since, like, when Easton and I talked the other day, I said, you know, I'm all for the idea of trading down, but I'm sorry, if Luther Burden is sitting there on the board at 35, like, I want to pick him. You know, I think the value there of picking that guy is more valuable than accruing the extra pick. If Emeka Egbuka is sitting there at 35, I want to pick him. Like, I want to go and make that Donovan Ezaraku at edge. Like, I want to go pick him. So, it's all about, will one of those guys make it out of the first round and long enough to be on the board for the Titans, but a run on quarterbacks that's sort of unforeseen, something like multiple running backs going in the first round. Like, those are the things the Titans need to happen in order to have that scenario in front of them.
All right, so we're going through what's the best case scenario for the Titans to maximize trade back value in the second round. I said for 3 quarterbacks to be drafted in the first round, leaving 2 guys on the board, whether it's Dart, Milroe, or Shuck. 2 of those 3 on the board as the second round starts to maximize the Titans trade back value at 35. Sam, what's your answer for the best value at 35 for a trade?
It goes against my nature because I am so on board with the Titans taking one of these wide receivers. Yeah. But I think if you look at the recent history of the draft, teams at the beginning of the second round love making a move to go and get a wide receiver. It feels like clockwork at this point, what teams do in that 33 to 40 range. In the 2024 draft, pick 33, Keon Coleman. That was Buffalo. That was a pick that was traded by Carolina. At 34, the Chargers took Glad McConkey. That was a pick that was traded by New England. At 37, the Patriots took Jalen Polk. That was a pick that was traded by the Chargers. So end of the first round, beginning of the second round, this seems to be a hot spot for wide receivers to go. And I can see a world where it's controversial for Titans fans because everybody was amped up about the idea of Luther Burden being in two-tone blue to pair up with Cam Ward, and Burden makes it all the way to 35, and then the Titans trade out of the pick to somebody who's really, really aggressive to go and get that guy.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know, and this was something else I'm curious to see. Easton and I mentioned this as well, that the closer you get to the draft, the more excited you get about the skill positions. Right. Wide receiver in particular seems to be one that people love to talk themselves into the day of the draft when their evaluation from a few months ago maybe wasn't saying the same thing that the draft day eval is saying. And I think teams are guilty of that too. Teams love to get really excited about the upside of a wide receiver. And so I think I just think a team is less inclined to trade up and move mountains to go and get a defensive tackle or an offensive tackle at that stage. But you could absolutely believe that you're getting a blue chip receiver and make a move that you probably shouldn't.
Yeah. So outside of quarterback and receivers, you just kind of threw it out there. What's another position that teams are trading up for in the second round?
I mean, I
obviously I would think edge.
Yeah.
You're thinking premier positions, right? Edge. I don't think maybe in just generic draft.
Probably not a corner,
but not this year.
No, probably not. Not historically, right? Edge, wide receiver, people will move up for. If there's a really sort of defensive tackle, it happens, but you have to sort of be, in my eyes, unique in a particular way. We saw Ruke Orhoro get traded up for last year, but Ruke was a athletic freak sort of with his testing numbers at the combine. That level of athleticism was not something that we typically see in a defensive tackle. And so, I think it was the Raiders that went up to get him. They were very, very excited by the uniqueness of his ability. I think, if you have something that sets you apart from one of those positions, I can see it, but otherwise it's going to be the high-end premium spots.
Right. I agree.
A particular running back too, as Corey says, right? Maybe
skill players. I mean, there could be, I don't know if a tight end, you'd have to be kind of a special receiving target as a tight end to have a trade up market. All right. So let's ask you guys this. We want to go through both of our scenarios. Which of these two first round scenarios benefits the Titans most in the second round for a trade back? I want to lay out each of our, kind of how can we label our scenarios? Mine is 3 QBs go in the first round. That is the best case scenario for a trade back in the second for me. Sam, how would you label yours? Just to kind of recap overall.
Egbuka or Burden are there at 35.
To trade back.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying you have to love the trade back, but I'm saying where
you maximize the value.
Where do you have maximum value? If I think if Egbuka or Burden are sitting on the board.
Okay. And maybe what if it's this? What if Abuka's gone, Burden's there, and maybe the Titans did not like what they found out from Burden in their 30 visit?
Could be. And somebody either didn't do their research or doesn't mind and wants to make sure that they get their guy.
Okay. All right. Let's which is the best way for the Titans to maximize their trade back value in the second round? 3 QBs in the first round, or one of those receivers, Ibuka or Burden, available at 35, and the Titans don't want to go for one of those guys. Oh, so we'll get to your opinions on that. But first, the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should turn for any injury in life that happens. Just like in football, injuries do pop up. and make it tough on us to just walk through life and having pain. That's always a nuisance that we don't need to deal with. So whenever I've gotten hurt the last couple of years, I've always known exactly where to go. boneandjointtn.org. You click on the portal, you click the make an appointment button, you sort through, find what fits your schedule for your ailment, that the doctor that's specific to that ailment, and they've got you covered right there. It's such a state-of-the-art facility in Franklin off of I-65 and Highway 96, next door to Williamson Medical Center. They have all the resources right there under one roof to take care of you when you need it. Online, boneandjointtn.org.
Leave us a 5-star Google review. It's that Luman special. Trying to find the Luman special. There it is. Yeah, go to Google. Leave that 5-star review. If you watch A to Z Sports every day, if this is part of your routine, getting on here and listening to us talk Titans and interacting in the chat, we would appreciate that 5-star review. It goes a very long way for us on the website front, on the show front, to get more people to join the A to Z Sports family. So leave that review here on a Thursday morning if you have some time.
All right. So which of these first round scenarios benefits the Titans trade back most or more in the second round? Is it 3 quarterbacks left on the board, or is it that top wide receiver left at 35? Sam, are you seeing anything from the chat about what they think is the better scenario for the Titans if they want to trade back?
Let's see what we got in the chat here. We got a lot of people still going back to weighing in on the Big Jeff trade, which is...
Well, we can come back to that because I saw some comments about the Big Jeff trade that we can come back to.
Yeah, we will come back to it. 3 QBs, big time, says Steven. 3 QBs from Rooney. Jeff says 3 QBs because Sam and Easton have gone wacko. How have I gone wacko?
People just think that if one of those receivers is there, then you take them.
I mean, I don't disagree.
But you're trying to find the best value in a trade back. You have best value for a trade back.
What's the phone ringing off? Where is your phone ringing off the hook more? That's where I tried to think of it. And for me, it's like, I think more teams maybe are calling the Titans and the phone's ringing off the hook if there's one premium first round wide receiver left versus a quarterback who's at best your 4th, 5th option at QB.
What if we remove Emeka Ibuka from your scenario?
So it's just Burden, right? Luther Burden.
Or what if it's just like, what if we just say like character flaw first rounder?
Yeah.
Right? If it's Mike Green, James Pierce, Luther Burden.
Right. I mean, I was trying to get very specific. I was trying to get really specific, like you were with
because of the wide receiver trend that you found. Yeah.
Well, sure, and because I mean, just like when you look at recent NFL drafts, what teams trade up for, wide receivers are one thing that they absolutely love, but often, it comes with, guys with character concerns, and some teams don't think it's a problem, and other teams might have an issue with it, and it's these sort of flawed wide receivers that are not perfect, complete packages. And to your point, right, it exists at edge with a guy like James Pierce or Mike Green. Like, it exists at other positions too, but it is that idea that a guy who should go in the first round, but you've got some red flags up about, and next thing you know, you're looking up and he's there at 35, and there's a lot of intriguing value there for you. Like, even Mike Green, right? The Titans need an edge rusher. If Mike Green is there at 35, my eyes are open. I'm looking at it. I'm intrigued. But is the trade down value, worth not risking the variable, I suppose?
Because with Mike Green specifically, there's a talented player at a position of need that is a premium position that has a character flaw of sexual assault allegations, right?
Yeah.
Allegations is what they are, and there's plural from his past, one in high school, one in college, and why he left Virginia for Marshall. So it's what's the greater value? The player with having to answer sexual assault allegations to your fan base and to your organization, or trading back and let somebody else have to answer those questions to their fan base, and you get a good draft capital for it.
Well, it doesn't need to be anything public either. Like in the case of Mike Green, like it is public, the issues, right? Luther Burden, there's obviously been some rumblings about potential, like, I wouldn't say character concerns, but maybe makeup.
Well, Jeff asked, Burden has a character flaw. I think Luther Burden and James Pierce's character flaws are similar, and they're not legal. They're not like morality.
They're not off the field morality issues.
Yeah, they are drive, motivation, discipline, personality concerns.
That's a good way to say it. I would agree with Nick here. They are personality concerns and not character concerns. The character, I think, insinuates a guy's character, like how good of a person he is.
Yeah.
Personality, I think, is more of, what
Kevin
kind
Dodd.
of,
This
what
is
is
probably
what is your makeup in, like,
Titans fans
in a locker room?
Kevin Dodd is a fine human being, but I just didn't love football that much. And the Titans took him 33 overall and wasted a pick.
Sometimes people who don't love football are great at football and they excel in the NFL regardless. And that exists too. And
like Isaiah Wilson is a character concern, not a personality concern. I think there's two examples. Isaiah Wilson, character concern. Kevin Dodd, personality concern. So
Andre Dillard, personality concern.
Correct. I think Mike Green is a character concern because of the sexual assault allegations. James Pierce Jr. and Luther Burden are personality concerns.
I agree. Full stop there.
Okay. So that's what the Luther Burden thing is more of, we've been talking a lot about people's camps around them with Nico, and I'm exhausted of all that. But just don't get me started.
All right. I was going to.
Just don't get me started.
All right. This is all I will do. This is all I will do because the people at least deserve this much. I'm going to gut check you right now. Is Nico Tennessee's quarterback next year?
No, he's going to UCLA.
I'd missed that. So
you have missed. Where have you been?
He committed?
I mean, it's expected to sign.
Oh, well. Yes. When did that come out? Yesterday.
The transfer.
All right, that makes sense. I was busy yesterday. I missed that one.
Yeah. Oh, and a week
Never
ago.
Mind. Forget I did that. Forget I did the gut check. All right, Nico to UCLA. Never mind. I won't trigger you. Then we can move on.
Okay, so less money, less of a roster. Not going to go well.
But better conference. Big Ten.
Okay. He'll get to go play at Ohio State again and get walloped again like he did in December. So back to the Luther Burden has a camp around him that is maybe too influential on his time and his focus and his demands and all that stuff. So I think that's where we're at on that one. So I think the best, obviously, I think having three quarterbacks go. I think how about this? Because somebody actually asked this question. Bizarro PK says, I misunderstood the scenario, but 4 quarterbacks in the first round opens the door for a nicer Levis trade package, right? So this is interesting, right? Yeah. And I agree with this. I think it's just finding a different way to get a third round pick. And that's the good thing. There are many ways to get
those guys go off the board means the sooner Will Howard and Kyle McCord go off the board, right? You move everybody up a little bit, and that is good for Levis and these teams that might be dwelling on, sitting there lingering to draft a QB in round 5.
Yeah. But if 4 quarterbacks go in the first round, then teams will have the Kyle McCord, Will Howard versus Will Levis conversation earlier in the draft.
Yep.
Which is good for the Titans.
Totally. This is a good, and I will say, this is it's interesting that we get to have these conversations this year. I'll say that because the Titans being at number 1, we're stoked about that. We're stoked about the Cam Ward situation of it all and the idea of getting a quarterback in here. That's all fun. It does make the draft slightly less interesting on draft night when you're like, all right, we're picking first. We know exactly what we're doing. And then we'll see you tomorrow. But I'm going to be watching, and I said this to the chat. sorry, I'm going off the rail because I have to ask you another question. I'm
That's
sure
fine.
I don't know if you saw this or not while I was talking to Easton. What is the proper way and how much is the proper way to watch the NFL draft?
Through a Titans lens?
No, you're at home, you're a fan of the NFL or the Titans, and you're sitting back and you're turning on the NFL draft. But maybe specific to this year's Titans, sure.
How do I watch it?
Yeah.
Like with my TV on, my computer up, my phone in my hand? Is that what you're asking?
No, well,
Or
kind
what
of.
am I paying attention to?
Essentially, I think you are a madman if you are just sitting down, turning on the draft, and watching pick 1 to pick 32. Like me and Easton had this sort of debate where I'm like, if you're that checks out. That helps my point a little bit. I'm like, if you're just sitting down and you're like, all right, here we go, Commish, take me through 32 picks, and it's 4 hours. I think, and Easton and I discussed, I think the draft is a background show. Like it's have a draft party, go hit up the Tostito scoops and the guac. Go talk here, talk there. Oh, sorry. Let me there's a pick coming in. Run back to the TV, watch the pick, and then you go about your business.
That's Friday. Thursday night is 1 through 32 glued in.
All right. Yeah. Austin says, I'm a madman. I watch 1 to 32. I also watch day 2. And hey, to each their own. I'm good. Yes, and again with the scoops are a staple. The scoops are essential. I get this because this is me. I am down bad enough that I will watch the Major League Baseball draft all the way to like round 20. And
oh my god.
And when they get to like round 15, 16, 17, like there's no feed of talking anymore. It's just like an MLB logo, and you hear basically the walkie-talkie radio feed of somebody being like, Pittsburgh is on the clock. Pittsburgh selects Hedges, Austin, catcher, University of California, Berkeley. And then Minnesota is on the clock. And it's just
There's
that
no
for
analysis.
There's no analysis. It's just straight names. And I'll sit there with an headphone in hearing the name. So I'll say that is sicko behavior as well.
Yes.
I've got no room to talk. I'm just curious.
No, and Bork did say the A to Z live stream if Sam doesn't spoil all the picks.
Yeah, we did talk about that too. I'm not going to do that this year.
Yes. By the way, we do have an A to Z live stream coming.
And I tease people, and maybe I committed to something that I shouldn't have committed to on your behalf here, Austin. But I said probably what makes sense for us here at A to Z is like we could go live at the beginning. We maybe go live at the end of the first round. Maybe.
There's a lot of options, and that's why we haven't really said it yet, because we've never covered the first overall draft pick like this.
It's new. Normally we're like,
do that. Yeah.
We know like, oh, we'll go live 4 or 5 picks before the Titans are on the board. We'll talk for an hour or whatever. After the pick, we'll react to it. We'll be giving you live picks throughout the situation. It's different this year. It's weird.
Yeah.
How long?
Because we know what's going to happen.
How long? Here was another question, hot seat for you. How much of the 10 minutes do the Titans use?
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Like
it's bad. This is fun.
It is. I have no idea. And I have no clue what any of this is going to look like. Like, is it just like Roger? I mean, because what I expect, the Titans might turn it in pretty quickly, but we're not going to know that because the broadcast is going to want to maximize the Cam Ward television show aspect of it, right? Like they want to have, like, if you're watching ESPN or NFL Network, they want their highlight packages and their talking heads, their analysts there on the screen to go through all of their points, all of their evaluation, all of their pros and cons. And so it's going to take the full 10 minutes before Roger Goodell says, we're the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft.
It'll take a while, but because I do remember, right, that there was some behind the scenes thing when the Bears took Caleb Williams, and Ryan Poles called Caleb Williams when he was putting the pick in, and he said, like, yeah, we're going to put the pick in. They said I have to wait 5 minutes. It was like the league is like, hey, don't do it right away. We need to get our packages in on our draft coverage. So there could be something like that where the Titans are ready to go and they still are forced to wait 5-6 minutes before putting a pick up.
Yep,
That's
how it's going to work. All right, let's circle back to the Jeffrey Simmons conversation, because Amber, with a mostly all caps comment, says, Austin, you always want to trade away our best players, Henry, Jeff, etc. What did we get in any trade for our players? Stop it, seriously. Well, one, they didn't trade Derrick Henry. I actually did not say I thought they should trade Derrick Henry. They should have traded DeAndre Hopkins. They did. Get a 5th-round pick. I mean, I don't know what Sam, do you see me as somebody who is always trying to trade away the Titans' best players? Do I
don't
fit Amber's prototype here?
No, I think you're I think you're fine.
I like to be opportunistic.
Well, that's the name of the game. That's the NFL. Like,
Yes.
It's the not for long, right? Not for long league is the NFL. So you are always trying to be one step ahead as a team. And
look,
I think the Titans have learned.
We had people. Orlando's agreeing that I do that. Kane agrees that I do that.
I don't see that. I really don't see that. I don't know. I mean, I think, we discuss here different options for the Titans.
Okay. Nick says, come trade season. Yes, you are, Austin. Oh, yeah. Because I said they should trade away Harold Landry in the season, and they should have. Why? Because they should have done it because they tried to and couldn't in the offseason and cut him for nothing. So, yeah, I was right there.
I'll jump on. I'll be that guy. I'll say, like, I don't think teams trade their players enough. I think teams are smart, but they get guilty of doing what fans are guilty of doing a lot, which is getting attached to somebody and or being overly optimistic, right? You can't always look in the mirror and say, we're 2-4 at the deadline. We're not good. This isn't going to happen this year. Let's trade our people. Like, let's be realistic about our expectations. You get caught up in the possibilities and the potential and the ceiling of your team. And then, as the Titans have learned a lot over the last few years, they've had quite a few missed opportunities to maximize a player's value because they haven't traded him. I mean, like, Derrick Henry is a perfect example of this. If you weren't going to pay Derrick Henry in the ensuing offseason when he was set to be a free agent, the Titans started off horrible that year. You absolutely should have traded him at the deadline. If you know you're not going to bring back an expiring contract and you know your team is not good this season, get something for him. And that's hard to stomach for people.
The Derrick Henry thing, I was actually on the side of don't trade away Derrick Henry, because you needed that moment in week 18 against the Jags where Derrick Henry went for 100 plus and scored touchdowns, and you beat the Jags to knock them out of the playoffs. And you had the moment of Derrick Henry with the microphone you needed that. Derrick Henry is different, but it was correct to trade away Kevin Byard. It was correct to trade away Jarrell Casey, correct to trade away DeAndre Hopkins, which is the easiest of the decisions. So I've just walked through. You should have traded away Harold Landry, because you tried to and you couldn't months later. And I think it's owning a business and knowing how things work. It's easy. Like, I have become more open to the opportunities that benefit the company, that benefit the franchise.
Yeah.
And trading away Jeffrey Simmons could benefit this franchise and help you get better faster.
And you can.
I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying it's a guarantee. It could. Because the Cleveland Browns are the perfect example. Myles Garrett's a walking gold jacket Hall of Famer right there in Cleveland, down the street to Canton, Ohio. We know that. But the Browns are wasting $100 million of cash over the next 3 years on Myles Garrett for what?
Well, and that is, like, you don't want to miss the boat as well. In terms of window of opportunity to trade somebody, you can snap your fingers and a guy's trade value can be gone, right? Like, it can deteriorate and go fast, especially when you talk about veteran players. Like the Titans trading Kevin Byard. Kevin Byard didn't really have any value after his time with the Eagles. Like, he went from has trade value. They got rid of him just at the right time before a lot of teams started to turn their nose up at Byard, so to speak. So like, you never really know when it's gonna happen. I mean, like, Landry is a great example as well. They had to cut Harold Landry, couldn't trade Harold Landry. Maybe trading Harold Landry a little bit sooner when he was still playing well, and there was like reasonable doubt that, oh, he could get back to his old form. You actually could have maximized the value of Harold.
Yeah, because you have a team going into the playoff race that needs an extra pass rusher.
Yeah.
Boom. Now, in February, nobody needs an extra pass rusher. They have so many chances to gain an extra pass rusher without having to give up trade capital or draft capital, excuse me. And then Bizarro PK says local media is making up this big Jeff trade scenario to get clicks. Thoughts on that, Sam?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's made up. Yeah, I made it up. Like, not in the sense that, like, I don't think it's impossible, but it was like, I'm using my imagination to talk about things that could happen for the Titans. That is part of the job, talking about like
but you're also using the information the Titans are giving you.
Information the Titans are giving me, trying to read through it, talk about the different options.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, like, I think the job is to look at the facts, look at the information, and try to discern what it means and have conversations about like what the possibilities for the team are moving forward. Never have I said that the Titans are going to trade Jeff, that they're looking to trade Jeff, or that Jeff wants to be traded. But I think it is worth having a conversation about the possibility and the option, because even if the Titans weren't giving us data to insinuate they could want a defensive tackle in the draft, it is your best trade chip before a draft that you are committed with a new regime at getting more draft picks. So that's all I need right there to think that this could be a possibility.
Yeah. When Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker says, we want 30 top 100 draft picks over the next 3 years, and you only have 2 this year, then how are ways you can gain extra? Jeffrey Simmons is one way.
The only player on your roster really that's worth one right now. Like,
yes,
that you're actually realistically going to move.
I mean,
like, you get a top 100 pick. You get a top 100 pick for JC Latham, but like, you're not going to trade JC Latham. Okay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Good point. So again, you said you should no longer be surprised if the Titans do this. They're going to. They want to. Jeff wants it. There's none of that. It's just the information is out there. We know what they want: more draft capital in the top 100. We know that they've brought in a weird amount of defensive tackle prospects for 30 visits that are second round-ish guys. Those 2 things don't add up to Jeffrey Simmons being here. Like, it's always, they feel like a lot of backup plans, right? TLG has a super chat here. Then we'll wrap things up and get the trivia. Simmons is breaking down, and it seems like teams have figured out how to eliminate him from impacting the game. I say ship him. Like, is he breaking down? He's had a couple injuries.
I can hear that argument, like, physically. It was part of the conversation that I think somebody in the chat had this when Easton and I first kind of previewed this idea, was just, he is rather injury prone. Like, he does get hurt and play through injury pretty much every season. And so if you are on the camp of, yes, do trade Jeffrey Simmons, that's probably one of the reasons why, if you don't believe in his trajectory and ability to stay healthy.
Yeah, I think, one, the position he plays is raising his likeliness of getting hurt. There's just a lot of traffic, a lot of bodies, a lot of things, right? He does play through the injuries, so you have to give him credit for that. It's not like he's missing a handful of games. And he's had a couple ankle things that have gotten him banged up and everything. So, all right, Sam, before we get to trivia, any last minute comments about the topic at hand today? We kind of went all over the place a little bit, but trading back at 35.
I guess let's establish this real quick. Just you and I, like, what are we rooting for on Thursday night? Like, if we were to go live, we react to the Cam Ward pick, and we were to jump back on live at pick 20, right? And we were reacting to the last 12 picks of the first round, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, what are you hoping to see there for the Titans?
You want to see maybe who QB3 is and where does he go? what happens with wide receivers,
Yeah.
right? Because I feel like that the last third of the first round is where Golden, Igbuka, Burden are likely to land. If one of them goes, does another follow? If two of them go, do all
Well,
three of them?
that's the other trend, right?
Right?
Is the run on receivers that we always see is once that like there's usually a gap in tier and we don't see a receiver for a really long time. And then as soon as one goes in like that next tier, everybody takes one and it's just they fly off the board.
Yep. Jeff brought it up. Did see the breaking news that came through that is a day I'm sure we all saw coming soon, but still a bummer. But Lee Corso is retiring from ESPN's College Game Day. His final appearance will be August 30th. So
I felt like that already happened. Is that bad of
no,
me? I
he's
feel
just
like
been
you're
he's just been limited
okay.
with his segments. But the end of an era. But they're going to give him one more go at the very beginning of this season.
Okay. Oh,
which is interesting. He's retiring after week 1, basically.
Legend, as Brad says in the chat, just a legend, but also it was time. Like, let's say it was time. I don't think we're gonna. We'll miss Lee Corso being on College Game Day, but I will say like we've missed Lee Corso on College Game Day for years now because we haven't had Lee Corso as we know and love him.
Totally. And I'll say this, and I'll probably say this around that time when he's actually retiring. You can think whatever you want to think about Kirk Herbstreit, and I think Kirk Herbstreit's had a really rough year with him as a college football personality. But there is nothing in sports media more pure than the relationship between Kirk Herbstreit and Lee Corso. That is like those two guys interacting makes me smile every time I see it.
Yep.
And I think that is the cool thing about that. So we'll find out more about that. Hopefully Lee Corso is okay. And, you think if you announce a retirement 4 months in advance, then you're fine. It's just you want to go out and have one more hoorah, one more mascot head to
It'll be nice. That'll be cool. That'll be nice for the send off and whatnot too. Like it's the last one, so you get to really. I agree with Louis here. Actually, can we get more Tebow on game day?
He's on the SEC show.
I've seen him on game day a few times. I love Tebow content. I think he's great at the at that whole charade.
They've already selected
McAfee
and Saban are their guys they're rolling with. So they've already made the decision. There's no,
which is just fine, by the way. They're also
absolutely
great. So
yep. All right, Sam, are you ready for a little trivia to wrap up this Thursday show?
Let's do it.
Shout out Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Well, you have your hand raised.
Well, I'm holding my mic, so I think you might have to be Trivia Master.
Oh crap.
Well, I mean, we can try to make something happen. I can try to see if I can set the mic down.
Do you want to try to? Do you want me to do it? I have to.
If you can do it, you can do it. Like I made Easton do it the last time too. So
okay, I have to open a new window, and then I got to make sure that I have my share created correctly. So hold tight. Let's see if I can pull this up.
If not, I'll type with one hand.
Oh, I got it. I got you.
Oh, okay.
Are we there?
We're almost there. There we are. Nope.
Now we're not.
There we are.
Now we're there. Okay, we're good, right?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. All right. So you were just going to be on the chat, right? I can't see the chat.
I'll be all over the chat. I'll be letting you know what we're thinking here. I'm going to lean in and get comfy here.
Hey, if I zoom, how's that? Is that good? Good zoom?
That's perfect.
Beautiful. All right. NFL. While he spent 2 seasons with the Ravens to end his career, Cordell Stewart made his final NFL start with his NFL NFC team in 2003. Final start. Ooh, interesting. Part of me wants to say Seahawks?
Final start for Cordell
Final
Stewart.
start for Cordell Stewart, NFC. This is tough.
Vikings. Louis says Vikings.
Panthers.
Panthers. Seahawks feels right from Bork. Saints. We're all over the board here.
I have zero. Let's go Seahawks, right? You know Seahawks?
Falcons, Seahawks. I see another Seahawks, or was it Saints? Oh gosh, just go Seahawks. Go for it.
Oh, standing at 630 feet, the Gateway Arch is a famous monument located in
Missouri. Missouri.
Oh, Missouri
State.
All right. Television. A spinoff of Hercules, the legendary journey. Lucy Lawless had the lead role in this cult favorite fantasy series from 95 to 01. I have no clue.
Hercules, the legendary journeys. I have no clue on this either. A cult favorite fantasy series from 90. Xena, Xena is what the chat is saying. American Tough looks like he was
the Warrior Princess.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
There you
Movies. Go. Matt Damon plays a man who takes on a procedure that shrinks him down to 5 inches tall.
Oh, this is a good movie too.
2017 sci-fi. 2017 sci-fi.
This is, what is this called?
I don't know.
Oh man.
I mean, downsizing,
I think.
Downsizing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Music. What 2010 Jason Derulo song features the lyrics, "I'm feeling like a star, you can't stop my shine" in the chorus?
Feeling like a star, you can't. Riding Solo. Yeah. I'm riding solo. Riding solo.
Yep. Snacks and candy packaged in pouches. This Hershey product has a similar look to M&M's, but lacks a hard shell and are thinner and wider.
Packaged in pouches?
Packaged in pouches. Lacks a hard shell, thinner and wider.
So it's like Hershey. It's not like eggs. Is like the Hershey eggs?
No, those are Reese's. What? Reese's Pieces. So it's like a chocolate.
It could be Reese's Pieces,
but they have a hard shell.
They do have a hard shell though. Drops, Matt says, or Hershey's Kiss. No,
they're not, because those aren't in pouches either.
Look up Drops. See if Drops is an answer.
Drops is an answer.
Matt was on it. Matt was on Drops. Do we want to try Drops? I don't know.
Drops is correct. All right, Major League Baseball.
Matt.
After top 5 MVP finished in 2009, this Angels slugger was out for over a year after fracturing his leg jumping on home plate during a walk-off grand slam in a 2010 game. You got to know this one. This has to be
Kendrys Morales.
There he is. Okay, NBA. Before the Miami Heat went to 2022 NBA Finals as an 8 seed, they lost to the 7 seed play-in game against this Eastern Conference team. I don't know.
Could be the Bulls, maybe. I get all my play-ins mixed up.
Yeah, this is Nick says Bulls.
Yeah, it might be the Bulls. The Bulls have played the Heat in a game like this before, so go for it. Yeah.
No, wrong. We got the sportsman's wrong. Celebrity mashup. Okay. Oh,
Lisa Kudrow and what's his name? Seth Meyers.
Yep. Is that Seth Meyers for sure? No, it's not.
I think it is.
No, it's not. Oh, I know him. It's
You don't think it's Seth Meyers?
No, it's not Seth Meyers. God, what's the guy's name? I think he's in a bunch of like Adam Sandler movies. Walter Groggins.
What?
No.
Walter Groggins?
I'm reading that's what Toff said.
I think it's Seth Meyers, but
I don't think that's Seth Meyers. We've got
Walter Goggins.
We got two.
Somebody said Gavin Newsom.
Googans. Walter Googans.
I think it's Seth Meyers.
Okay.
I want that on the record.
How's he spell Myers?
E-Y, maybe? Yeah.
Oh,
all right, there we go. All right, well, let's double dip on
which one?
NBA, maybe. I don't know.
The play-in or Cordell Stewart's last start?
Let's go back to Cordell Stewart. I feel like we can get that one.
Okay.
People in the chat were saying Bears earlier. But I don't know. Bears and
03
Hawks.
too early for your Bears?
Bears and Hawks. I mean, I don't know if it would have been his last start.
Panthers.
He was a Bear.
What Panthers?
People are saying Bears. People are saying Bears.
Okay.
So let's do Bears. Yeah, I don't know if it was his last start, but he was a Bear. All right, we're right. Okay, there you go.
So we were right?
Yeah, go back. Hit back. Go up to the top.
Yeah.
And hit back. Nope. Higher. Yeah, there you go. Back.
Oh, okay.
What was the NBA? Was it the Hawks?
Yeah.
It's the same. That was going to be my other thing. It's the same. It's the Heat, the Bulls, and the Hawks are in the play-in like every year.
I don't care about the NBA playing stuff. Just doesn't.
Oh, it's horrible. Especially because you've got conference, like the conferences are so skewed where in the
divisions, right?
Well, no, like the Eastern Conference right now, you've got 4 teams that are in the play-in, and all the teams that were in the play-in in the Eastern Conference are all under 500, like 38, 39, 40 win teams. And then you've got in the West, you've got a couple teams that are 38, 39, 40 win teams, and teams like the Warriors who are like 49 win teams that are sitting in the play-in because they're in the West. And so they're technically the 7 seed in the that have to go through the charade of like this play-in game. It's bad.
Fair enough. All right. That's it for us on this Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow on a Friday and figure out what Titans topic we've got going there. Appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, like the show, make that happen for us. 5-star Google reviews are also appreciated. Buck Rising live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime. He was wearing zoo face paint on his show last night. If you want to go make that look, you can do that.
Was he?
Yes, he was. Go check out, see what type of zoo animal Buck had his face painted like on Primetime last night. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Appreciate it as always.